Good morning. It's September the 9th, and it's a chilly morning. First morning it's really felt like fall. It's 7 degrees right now, and it was 3 degrees when I got up, so that's within, starts to make you think about frost. So I'm actually wearing a sweater for the first time. Friday, so going around the lake, of course. Of course, if you've watched this long enough, it's an of course. I apologize for not doing a walk yesterday. I actually walked, but it was very piecemeal, and so I didn't live stream it. And it was just downtown again, where I had walked the day before, and I'll be walking down there again later today, too. Having lunch with somebody to talk about a project, a musical, actually. They're looking for a script writer, so we'll see how that goes. Yesterday I was meeting with a publisher. The day before that I was meeting with another publisher, so talk and shop, as they say. On the publishing side, things are coming together for the launch of the Thickwood, one of the 2 books I'm publishing this fall, the historical novel set in Saskatchewan post-Second World War. It features horses and professional women's baseball. We've got a launch date. It'll be October 26th in Saskatoon at Amigos. And then we've got probably one here on the following day at Bushwhackers is what I'm trying to set up. I need to confirm that today. Good chance to sell some books and for people to get excited about the book and give it a good shove. The author is Gail M. Smith is lining up her own readings and things like that, so that's great. There's only so much I can do as a one-man shop, marketing-wise, and operating on less than a shoestring, so the help of the authors is greatly appreciated when it comes to marketing. And obviously they're the ones with the greatest desire to see the book do well. I want to see the book do well too, but it's their baby, so. The other one, the Emir's Falcon, is different. Matt's not from around here, and I don't even know where he is because he moves around a bit, so Matt Hughes. So I'm going to see about doing some sort of online virtual launch. I need to get on that because his comes out first, actually, on September 27th. Thickwood comes out on October 4th. And next week, Phases, which is a poetry book I'm republishing by Belinda Betker up in Saskatoon, a new revised and expanded edition of her debut poetry book. Release is officially on Tuesday. It's slightly vague. The ebook is on Tuesday. The print book might actually get approved before that because I'm going to pull the trigger on it today. But anyway, the official release date is Tuesday next week. A bit cloudy this morning to go along with the chilliness. And of course I have so many other projects in various stages of need to get them done. Okay, under the bridge here. Watch out for the broken step there that has a dip in it. pushing it along at a great clip. Obviously trying to get somewhere as opposed to just walking for pleasure. Alright, we will walk over to the ledge. Of course, all the flags not here, but on the ledge are at half-mast because of the death of the Queen yesterday. Land of living skies indeed this morning. Looks like it's probably going to be partly cloudy all day, judging from the sky. But it's a very pretty interesting sky this morning with the sun shining on the lake there. Might see fewer people this morning because of the chill in the air. This is just a taste of what is to come. Any birds to see under the bridge over here? Yeah, there's birds on those rocks. They're not, earlier in the year they were pelicans, but these are something else. I was wanting to say cormorants, but I don't know if we have cormorants in Saskatchewan or not. They have that look though. They're just silhouettes, so it's hard to tell what they are. We will pause up here by the Queen's statue as we go by. Yeah, I can already tell there's fewer people around the lake this morning than the last few mornings. I think that was a loon actually. Maybe that's what I'm seeing over there. He has to come back up again. I don't know how far he'll go. Over here he is. That's definitely a loon. I believe, diving like that. Maybe that's what I'm seeing. I hadn't thought about loons. This is a seagull, or a land gull, but I should know loons because the books I loved to read as a kid, the Arthur Ransom series of books, there's 12 of them altogether, and the last one is called Great Northern, and it's about birds. And our characters are up in Scotland, and one character is quite into birds and sees what he thinks is what he calls a great northern diver. But it's nesting, and at least in the context of the story, they are not known for nesting. They don't nest, the British Isles. So when he sees one nesting, it's a huge discovery, and the plot kind of goes around that. And there's an egg collector who wants to collect the egg, which of course would destroy the nest. So that's kind of where the whole plot was. You can see more. A little more yellow there. Someone's telling a very loud story there about their dog. So of course the statue of the Queen is right up here, and I posted the picture again yesterday on Twitter, And on Facebook that I got of her in 2005, I had my daughter out here, and she was not quite 4, and it was pouring rain, but we stood out here until she came to unveil this statue of herself on her favorite horse, and now his name's gone out of my head. Balmoral is the name of the castle. Anyway, so we were standing right about here, and she came and took the flowers from my daughter. So I got a close-up photo of her, which was very nice. You can see there's a lot of flowers on the statue itself now. I wasn't able to get a picture of her and Alice in the same frame, but I got one of Alice holding the flowers and then one of the Queen receiving the flowers, so you can make the connection. It's the last time I had a photo on the front page of the Weyburn Review. So, and that horse, whose name still escapes me, even though I've known it every other time I walk by, was actually born in Saskatchewan, so Saskatchewan connection there. It was the one she was riding when there was a scare in one of the Tripping of the Colors parades, when somebody fired off a starter pistol. The horse was good. So yes, very sad news yesterday. We'll have to get used to King Charles III. Stamps will change, money will change over time. And there's a lot of things, like someone pointed out that the crest of the Royal Canadian Mounted Police has a crown on it. That's the Queen's crown, and that'll have to be changed, or it should be changed, to the King's crown, which is slightly different. Things like that. You see that I'm canted over to one side again with the gimbal, but there's no way to fix that. Go down by the fountain today, I think, since it also is from London, the Trafalgar Fountain, which at one time did stand in Trafalgar Square in London before it made its way here in the 60s. I've got it. It's not quite lined up, but it's almost lined up with the fountain on the other side of the lake. The one we'll go by soon, which is the an aeration fountain that adds oxygen to the water. But this is the Trafalgar Fountain proper. The dolphins down at the bottom spouting out water as well. Oops. Don't know why the gimbal did that. Of course, you look back this way, you get it lined up with the oh, and the sun's trying to come out a little bit there, so the colors just brightened up, I see. Back we go to the lake. Yeah, I like this temperature for walking. It surprises me that there's fewer people than there were on hotter days when people came out to beat the heat. Now they're avoiding the chill. Well, I did it last year, and I'll probably do it again this year, where I walk around the lake at multiple degrees below freezing. I think the coldest day was minus 34 with a wind chill that I walked around in the dark last year. The sky is usually starting to get light even in the winter when I walk around, but it's still not up. I do like the water this morning. It's very interesting because it has patches of wind disturbed water and patches of still water, and with the interesting sky making interesting reflections, it's all interesting. Don't mind my reusing the same word over and over again. Or editing written work, I would make sure I didn't do that, but spoken word, the words go by, and who remembers what you said exactly? Oh, sure, it's being recorded, but there are hundreds of hours of these recordings now, and nobody's going to be quite yellow up there. I'm going to be going back and correcting my grammar. Not even me. The Holodomor memorial there, marking the Stalinist genocide of Ukrainians, forced starvation pre-Second World War. Time of the morning, there's probably still people heading to work if I start at 8:30 and not at 8. There seems to be a bit more traffic than sometimes along here. It's not a very, it gets you over from Albert to Broad, but it winds a bit, and the speed limit is slower for those who obey such things. Through the park it's only 40 kilometers an hour, and the regular city speed limit is 50. My hands are getting a little chilly. It's cool enough for that. No, I never go down here, so let's go down here. Since the lake looks so interesting this morning, we can go out on this little pier here. Get a water's level view of it. There we go. Wascana Lake from an angle I don't usually take it from. That's Spruce Island over there, which is undeveloped. I think there's a landing place, but generally speaking, it's a wildlife bird sanctuary. Roberts Plaza over there. And you come on around, and here's the actual shoreline. I'm normally on the other side of those trees, so there. I've never come down here on one of these walks, so that was brand new. There's actually a outflow pipe over there that's also part of the aeration system, but there's no water coming out of it at the moment. or at least it's drainage, I don't know. But I think it's more of a aeration feature. Okay, well, there you go. You're the first people to have seen that on one of these walks. All the months I've been doing this, year and a half now. Very pink hat. I have gone out there to look at Spruce Island since I just did it the other location. I won't go out there today. Still some people walking around this morning, besides me. Been dry. Let's take the path down here just to be different this morning as well. This tree interests me. It clearly blew over or something a long time ago, and then it just grew along the bank before it started going back up again, which I find intriguing. I've never looked at the end of it down here. So yeah, somehow it managed to keep growing after clearly falling over, and eventually went back up. Good morning, Mary Lou. If you're just joining me, it's only 7 degrees this morning, and it was only 3 when I got up, so it's the first morning that really feels like fall is almost upon us. I don't know if some people are wearing jackets and hats and gloves and the whole bit. Let's get colder before I do that, because I warm up a lot when I'm walking. So I'm wearing a sweater, but I probably would have been fine with shirt sleeves. Chilly to start with, but warm enough by this point in the walk. Even when it was 35 below, I was plenty warm once I got walking. Wouldn't have been if I had to sit down in the snow and not move for a while, but fortunately that didn't happen. Over there, I haven't walked over there for a while, but that's Wascana Rehab over there. Wascana Rehabilitation Center, it's a hospital. I don't think I'll go on the island today, since I've made a couple of other detours. Oh, dogs. There's always dogs.
Well, it was, you know how most movies.
Might just go down here and get a view of downtown through the trees. So there you go. You got the legislative building there to the left, and then downtown is where those taller buildings are. Sort of the heart of downtown is that direction. They have benches here because that's a place to sit and look out over the lake. This is the Saskatchewan Land Surveyors Association monument to the land surveyors. I wrote their history book. That's Pine Island. Another good look at downtown from here. One of the popular parking lots if you're coming to enjoy the lake. This is where people often come to feed the geese in the wintertime. There'll be a lot of birds around here because of that, but not at the moment. There's the bridge over to Pine Island, where I'm not going today, but it lines up directly with the ledge there. Only birds are, there's some ducks down there, but I don't even see any geese on this side, which is unusual. Although this time of the year they may be out in farmers' fields feeding, fattening up for migration. They start to show up around sunset. They'll come back in big flocks to the lake after being out in fields all day. Must be getting close to that. I remember it from last year when I was out walking at sunset a couple of times. Won't be long we start seeing those big flocks. Get another good view from down here. There's always birds on this, which I won't go on to, but you can see they're enjoying it. I'm a little flustered by the fact I'm here, not very. They have some sort of excavation equipment locked up in a fence. I've been digging under that. Whatever that thing's for, I don't actually know. As I always point out, this is a totally man-made lake. Nothing natural about it or any of the trees here either. I mean, they're natural trees, obviously, but they didn't grow here naturally. Everything was planted. Because there are no trees in this part of Saskatchewan naturally. So every tree in Regina, and it's well over 250,000, probably more like 300,000 by now, was planted by someone, except a few that have grown up from natural processes in less tended areas. I'm sure there are some trees around here that have started on their own, at least along the creek, but generally speaking, all of these were planted by someone. And there was no lake, there was just Wascana Creek winding its way through the prairie here. Till they built the dam, which was well over 100 years ago now, in the early 20th century, when the lake was formed. Because it was there when they built the legislature, 1912-ish. There are pictures of people in rowboats on the lake in front of the legislative building with no trees around it because they hadn't grown up yet. Back then, people even swam in the lake, but it's way too green these days, even with the deepening and the aeration and all the rest of it. There's something called swimmer's itch. Oh, and there's the flute player. There's always a flute player when I walk by under there. There, down there. Enjoying the acoustic. Sun has lit up the other side of the lake now. Don't know if the geese are echoing the flute player or what. All of a sudden it looks like a blue sunny day, which it didn't when I started. And it's clearing from that direction, so the early morning cloud is going away. See more yellow in those trees. This is the other very popular parking lot for people who are enjoying the lake. Again, I see dragon boats, but I've heard nothing about a dragon boat festival, so I'm not sure. I see no posters or anything. If I go down here, I can probably make this corner without falling in the water. So I don't usually come down here either for that look. And there's Pine Island over there with the waterfall on it. Again, an aeration feature. We can step from here onto the pier and go up. If you walk down to that end, you can't actually make the corner. And that ahead of us is Bar Willow and their little takeout window, which is called Lake Taco. They have this covered deck. Parts of it aren't covered, but the bulk of it is covered. We ate here not that long ago. We ended up moving inside because there was a really nasty looking storm coming, and we were not under the tent. And there was nobody inside, so it was very nice and quiet in there. It turned out to be the perfect place to be. Not sure what he's doing. Pushing the sand around, I think. Take the long way around just to add variety and to avoid following that guy too closely. You're welcome. I'm enjoying it too. It's a very pleasant morning. There's Pine Island again over there. I may still catch that guy, but his timing was impeccably bad coming out of the washroom just as I passed and walking at almost the same speed as me. And I prefer not to walk behind somebody with the camera for a long period if I can avoid it. Which way did he go? Well, it's good because I was going over the bridge today and he went the other way. Oh, the fountain has been turned down. It was going full blast when I looked. From the other side of the lake, it was still going. Now it's down to just that. How odd. Wonder why. So yeah, it was at its usual height when I saw it from the other side of the lake, but they've turned it down. It will go off sometime, not too far in the future, because over there's the ledge and the Fogger fountain that I was at before. You can see there in that gap. And downtown is all lit up now by the sun. Unfortunately, it's behind that tree. And our house is in that direction. See, the other fountain's still going full blow over there. Won't go by it momentarily. More flags at half-mast up there for the Queen building, HMCS Queen. Actually a ship, landlocked ship, belongs to the Navy. Canadian flag would normally fly at the top of the mast, and it's down low today because of the Queen. Last time I came by, I walked very close to that building, which I hadn't done before, but stay over here today. Yeah, you can tell they're at half-mast on the ship-style poles over there. Well, literally a mast, since it's a ship. Literally at half-mast on the mast. The white one is the naval ensign. This is Willow Island over here, where they set off fireworks from. You can also rent it. I don't know if you have to rent it, but you can book it and have picnics over there. Almost never see anybody doing that, but there's a sign that tells you who to call. I've never been over there. 30 some years in Regina, I've never been on Willow Island. $34 years coming up this fall since I moved to Regina from Weyburn. Several years ago, I passed the I've lived in Regina longer than I lived in Weyburn, which I always think was my hometown milestone. Because I guess I lived in Weyburn for basically 21 years from when we moved there when I was a kid until I came to Regina, and I've been up here for 34. So I guess I'm more a Reginan than a Weyburnite. I still think of myself as a Weyburnite. And even though I was only 8 when we moved up here from the US, I still think of myself as half or better American. I'm always torn. When I'm in the States, I often feel quite Canadian, but up here I often feel quite American. So maybe that's why I'm a science fiction writer. Never quite belong to the world in which I find myself living. I'm a dual citizen. I have a passport from both countries. The important thing is to show the passport of the country into which you are traveling. So when I go to the States, I use my US passport for ID. Money. When I come back, I use my Canadian passport, which needs renewing.
There are such inefficiencies.
US one might need renewing too. I better check that. I haven't been in the States for quite a while now because of COVID. I think the last time was in the fall of 2019 when I went to World Fantasy Convention in Los Angeles. I didn't go to World Science Fiction Convention in Chicago this year. I haven't been for several years, and next year it's in China. Well, I'm certainly not going there. And I'm rather surprised they gave it to China. Well, not really. Knowing the political leanings of the people in science fiction, it's not too much of a surprise they didn't have any concerns about going to a communist dictatorship. There's Willow Island, and this is where the Shards of Excalibur books begin, when the Lady of the Lake from King Arthur shows up right there. And then she tells a teenage girl from here that she's now the Lady of the Lake. And, let's take the shortcut. She and this boy with her, well, they have to find the scattered shards of Excalibur. Which they do over the course of 5 books. Spoiler. Anyway, Worldcon is in China next year, but what they call NASFIC, North American Science Fiction Convention, which is only held when Worldcon is overseas, will be in Winnipeg. And then in 2024, Worldcon is in Glasgow, Scotland. there's any way to go to that one, I would love to. I think. Only if people that I want to see are there. They don't really make sense as a marketing thing. You spend, $2,000 or $3,000 to go to one of these, and it doesn't translate into $2,000 or $3,000 worth of book sales, but you never know. You might make a deal or meet somebody important. It's a schmoozing thing. I'm not very good at that. I don't particularly like schmoozing or crowds, but I can fake it when I have to. I am going to CanCon, which is a Canadian science fiction convention in Ottawa in mid-October. I'm not terribly excited about it, despite the increasingly obvious scientific evidence that vaccinations don't prevent transmission and masks do little to nothing. They're requiring masking, and even talking about social distancing, which is even nuttier these days, for me anyway, because I've been maskless and non-socially distanced now for months around here, and it's going to feel very retrograde to go to some place that requires that. But again, given the political leanings of people in science fiction in general, they seem to be okay with that kind of stuff. And it is political, it's not scientific at all. As far as I'm concerned. But make up your own mind. That's one of the things that you're supposed to be able to do, have your own opinions and express them. You get in trouble for doing it these days, but probably not on here, because it's my channel. And hardly out of the mainstream position anymore. I was just reading a list of studies today about how the masked evidence is non-existent, basically, that it does anything. But I'll wear them because I'm required to, so probably won't even. Well, I have sort of complained to the organizers just in an email. I said this seems a very retrograde policy, but left it at that. They're not going to change it. So. And I have a book coming out immediately after the convention, and another one coming out immediately before the convention. So if there's ever a good time to be somewhere and tell people about my books, this will be it. The Shapers of Worlds Volume 3 anthology that I kickstarted that features science fiction and fantasy by authors who are guests on my podcast comes out just before I go, all things working well. And The Tangled Stars, my next book from Daw Books, far future humorous outer space adventure. Featuring a AI uplifted genetically modified talking cat who becomes a starship captain. That comes out in on October 18th, and there's going to be an audiobook. I just discovered that. I wasn't told there was going to be an audiobook, but there is going to be one. Well, that was a pleasant surprise, and it's supposed to be out at the same time, so I don't usually walk along this little ledge by the water, but I think I'm stable enough to manage it. So one more look at the fountain and the ledge and the lake. And it's up here and under the bridge, and we'll be home in a few minutes. Yep, that's the aeration fountain there. One of the two. The other one was just down to a trickle on the other side, but although it was going the first time I saw it this morning, so maybe they're just doing some maintenance over there. Keeps the lake from being quite so green, and before they deepened it, it was almost choked with weeds every summer. So it's too deep now for that kind of weed coverage, which is good. But still the algae you want to try to reduce. And there's also fish in the lake. They want to make sure there's plenty of oxygen for them. So that's what the fountains accomplish. We are back at the bridge in the little underpass. Squirrel. Oh! Every once in a while I will, because I'm looking up or looking at the screen, I'll step in a depression in the train that I didn't see coming. This is when you'll usually hear me go, ooh, like that. Like this house, as I always comment. Coffee waiting for me at home, and work. And I'll go downtown for another walk, but I won't live stream that one. About 12:30 I'll head down there probably, or sooner if I decide to go work at a coffee shop for a while. "20-minute walk downtown from my house." We'll go to the other side here so we can get a look at the garden down here at the end. And that very tall sunflower there looming over me. Tall flowers always make me think of Day of the Triffids by John Wyndham, which we haven't read. Is a book I read as a teenager. It's quite scary. There's a movie too, but I don't think I've ever seen it. There may have been a TV movie version as well, or miniseries. Basically, the world's overrun by alien plants that make everybody blind, and then the aliens take advantage of that. I think that's how that works, I remember. And we're looking down at Davin School there, where my daughter went to school, and there's some guy with a dog right at the end of the alley. But we won't go that far because he's in the alley and we're going to stay on the street. Some more very tall sunflowers here, although they're going to seed pretty quick here. The petals are mostly gone. Yes, I should have mentioned that when I went by, that there's a book of condolences at the ledge. They have a Platinum Jubilee exhibit, which is now also an in memoriam exhibit with the book of condolences. All right, that's it for today. I'll be back over the weekend.